second trip to Namibia was ambitious, to drive from Cape Town to Etosha Pan. We set off in midwinter with the snows on the mountains in the Cape and pretty flowers in the stones. Our first stop was Ice, a hot water spring just short of the Fish River Canyon. Then the Fish River Canyon itself, where I restricted myself to this slide of a fossil after taking so many on our previous expedition. We then proceeded just inside the desert on a 500-mile trip to Walvis Bay with only one petrol station. We filled up here in Seeheim, the last settlement except for the very occasional farm. The scenery was quite breathtaking, with dried-up rivers and magnificent mountains, and the roads were mainly wonderful, allowing us to cruise along at 70 miles an hour. Eventually we found a magnificent valley, which was where we decided to camp. We were totally on our own. This is a weaverberg nest. The mountains glowed red in the setting sun and looked just as magnificent in the early morning light. We had the whole place to ourselves. We were totally uplifted by the experience. This one shot says it all. The road disappearing into the distance, the mountains floating above the plains. We could see the sand dunes that extended to the sea, reputedly amongst the highest in the world. This was the refuelling stop where James, who had already broken his arm early in the trip, was tossed over the head of this springbok. The dust got everywhere, and we had one hardboard window which didn't help. We had some interesting moments on the trip, particularly when the road suddenly became desert and we were dashing from one bit of hard sand to the other with everybody pushing the vehicle. We were sad when the trip ended and our first visit in Walvis to see the birds in the sewage works didn't inspire, although these flamingos did. Sand gets everywhere in Walvis, including in the camera shutter mechanism, unfortunately. We were taken to the desert, and these welwitschia plants were the most exciting occurrence. Apparently they absorb moisture from the fog and flower once every 20 years. Then on northwards through this oasis into Herero country, where the locals wear heavy Victorian clothes, even in the middle of summer. Dusty and hot, we arrived at Etosha Pan Game Park. Never has a pool been so delicious. Etosha Pan covers an area the size of Wales, and we didn't see much game to start with. Penny got out of the car here, foolishly, as, one by one, we counted 7 lions, which seemed to appear from nowhere. A small shrew in the centre of the picture, a jackal, and, I think, another. Game congregates at water holes, and here we saw some guinea fowl. There are 3 camps in Etosha Pan, and we camped for a couple of nights in each of them, stopping to view the animals as we drove between them. Giraffes are very graceful animals, and it was wonderful watching this one bending its legs so it could drink from the pool, with the 2 bustards for company. Gemsbok are magnificent animals with their long horns and striking markings. They seem to fight continually, trying to assert dominance over each other, which rather spoilt watching them. This waterhole was close, but at this next one we saw huge quantities of game, including 3 elusive warthogs who came for a drink, and we also saw some eland, which are the largest of the game. Our car broke down between the last 2 camps, and we had to be towed both to the final camp and then a further 100 miles to the nearest garage to get it fixed. The final camp is situated at the base of a German fort where the Reveille is still played at 7 every day. A consolation for the broken car was this sighting of a duiker, the smallest and prettiest of the buck, with its long eyelashes. It looks like Bambi. David left us here and hitched back to Cape Town. He had a plane to catch. We took the tar road and had a fairly uneventful trip. What a magnificent place.